Hello everyone! Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel again, and today we have a fun painting of the thistles and some bees around the thistles because it's inspired by the vegetation that's out there in late August and early September in this area of our, this neck of our wood. And so it is quite fun, and we had fun doing this, and I wanted to because as you paint, you will be able to follow me. That's the paint along, right? That's the whole purpose of my channel here, is for you guys to enjoy painting along with me. And so what happened is there are something I put on this bee and this little one because I felt like it could benefit from more yellow color. And so I did that, and I tried to mute them as much as I can, and I splashed some splash on it, and I also had dropped a little bit of the purple to bring it down into the green part, the belly part of the thistle, to make it a little bit consistent. Okay, and so that's all I did. And so I might want it to, now that I'm looking at it, I might want it to add a little bit of a stronger of a stem over here so you can see this better. Okay, I'm doing that right in my intro part. Funny, huh? Anyway, thank you so much for coming and join me. And so all the information and also a drawing, an outline drawing will be, you will be able to find it on my sunsetpeony.com, my blog. And of course, I put the link on the description, and then you'll be able to find the line drawing, and I'll draw all this out. It might not be exactly the same because I'm going to draw this part, you know, and this might be very close as I can get it. And my attempt to make this a more full and dimensional and like tilted a little bit facing us, you know, I hope I did accomplish that. And this is really fun and so very simple. And of course, I chat a lot and we talk about things and stories, and also the information. Oh, I can just tell you now, I use this HO0 and this flow brush, and maybe a little bit of my old trusty happy dot in the background. That's it. And so you will be able to follow around quickly. And I also have promised you I'm going to do a product that I use very, very soon, okay? And so I will do that, and you will probably have a lot of fun painting along with me. And please do, and go to the blog to get all the information and stuff that you need, okay, over there. And thank you for coming, and please do subscribe so that I will be very encouraged to know that you guys do love what I do here, and you know, make up fun paintings so that I can paint along with you. Many more painting is coming up. I don't do promise anymore because I think it's my, my mind, right? I change my mind all the time, and I have them in mind, but, and sometimes I just had this feeling, I think artists mostly do, I need to go paint this, and so I will just go paint that. And so I'm just going to, surprise you guys every time, but the product, what I use product will be coming up, I promise you, okay? And hope you have fun, and please subscribe, and leave me a message or whatever you like to do to be friends and say hi to me, and so I will leave you alone and we'll get painting, okay? Okay, let's get started, shall we? What I wanted to do is to start the blossom part of this thistle right here, okay? So I'm gonna just go ahead and do that. The one that, I don't know if you can see the bee, there's a bee right there, but of course you will have a, right there somewhere over there, a finished picture that you're painting that you can follow. Okay, so I'm going to just slightly do a base layer, okay? So what I mean by base layer is just we have to work around the bee, okay? So this layer is just to, wet the flower so that we can have, because the thistle is, at the very end is mainly just pointed, right? The pointed part of the even the blossom, and so we wanted to put a base layer. So this is particularly a thing that we do with watercolor, so that when you go in, when we go in and paint the stems, is that what you call them? Then we will we will be able to you know, have a, you know, illusion that is more full of a blossom, if that makes sense at all. So, you know, you will see, you know, so right now I need to, you know, so you can see that I already paint around. There's a form right here. Okay, that's our little bee, and he's going to be very cute. Okay, so I just used some quinacridone violet, but what I'm going to do is I'm dropping some magenta on it just to make it more full. You know, I do things like that, you know, right? Don't just do one color, as I always say. You know, if you can, then just put more color in it. And now I'm going to leave this part alone because it is indeed a very wet as of right now, that area. Okay, so we're gonna go into this other part of the thistle. Okay, I'm looking right now at my and I will explain to you some of my decision that I made on how to paint certain things and why I do that. Okay, so let's work on this one right here. This one right here. And so this is the part of the thistle where I'm going to, you know, because it's just a bud, so I'm just gonna do the quinacridone right here. It's not, this won't be the blossom part. Let's call the purple or the colorful part. It won't be open. It is right before it's going to open. Okay, so we're gonna just do that and just slap some color on it. Mainly it's a base color, but you know, you can actually, as of right now, if you want it to be a little more intense, you can actually drop a little bit more pigment while it's wet, you know, on the edge, not so much towards the bottom, and you'll know why. Okay, and so I'm going to just drop a little bit of magenta. Mainly the decision I've made with this painting with the thistle is to use quinacridone violet and magenta. And so at times I will put this dark blue purple, you know, just to, you know, accentuate some of the, but you know, also little over there. Okay, and so while this is like, and then we pull the color or dilute it and make a soft line over there, and then we'll leave it alone so that we can come back. Okay, now this one right here, let me see. Oh, this one actually had a little blossom on the top. Okay, so let's just do that. We'll do the same thing. Go into our quinacridone magenta. Okay, and just now I realized that this blossom is a lot smaller than that one, and so we're gonna let me see, we're going to just make sure that we are going to not put as much pigment in it. Okay, so it won't be, you know, we don't have to pull it out so much and make this whole thing very, very diluted. Okay, we diluted a little bit, but not like too much. Okay, and then we'll come in and do something, you know, just to make sure that the form is better. Okay, so now we're just like trying to do, I'm planning on doing this one green and this one green also, but yeah, because they're, you know, they're further there, I'm planning on pushing them a little bit further back, and so let's just decide that we're just going to do that. Okay, just let them be green. Maybe, you know, if we have to, just a drop of purple at the very, very top. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm going to coming in here with some sap green, and I'm leaving that highlight because always like the kind of the sunlight is coming from this direction, right? Ooh, I need to be watching my just keeping an eye on my the screen so that I won't be out of the screen, because as I paint, sometimes I tend to do that, just not notice that, and I don't like that. Get you guys all confused what I'm doing, right? I think part of you guys, I don't know, you know, I hope that we have many people. I know that we have people in Thailand, in Hong Kong, you know, sometimes watches me, or I don't know how much they watch me. You know, I appreciate you guys getting, like, get connected with me. That's very, very kind. And, but, you know, people are busy, and, you know, sometimes I don't know what happened. You know, if they are painting along, I'm sure you are. And if you are, once in a while, kind of drop me a you know, hello, you know, so I know that you guys are painting along, and or you know, say something about, you know, what you're painting and see if you have been enjoying it, then I will appreciate that. But I know you don't have to, and but it will be kind of nice. Okay, I'm doing the same thing, leaving just a little bit of a highlight over there. Oh, you know, I kind of close up the top though, you know, so if I close up the top, then I couldn't drop magenta on it, can I? Maybe I could, but, you know, or violet, but if I don't, then that's okay. Okay, now so we are putting the darker area, and you can see that I'm leaving a form out. So what I'm actually leaving over there is a little bit of leaves, you know, because I just want the leaf to come up. So I'm going to do this in a little bit of light green after that's dry. I think that will probably be very pretty. We'll see, okay? And now I'm mixing those two colors together, so I'm going to use some praline green to mix instead of water, so that it won't kind of, you know, dilute it too much, right? Okay, leaving highlight here and there just a little bit. I might still be able to do a little drop of magenta over there. We'll see. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 head. Okay, so I'm assuming that this area is, you know, dry enough to work with. And so before we work with that, let's do the bee, should we? And so we have done bee a few times. Okay, so it is not unfamiliar with you guys that I really like. I really like to do a bee around flowers, you know, because sometimes the object that you put into your painting kind of indicate action, okay? So to the mind, okay, of the people, and I like that. And so, you know, since this little bee is like buried, right? And you know that if you guys live around area where there are a lot of thistles, and you will know that all the animals love it. I think that even the butterflies love it. But you know, usually when the butterflies love it is in the middle of the summer, so I don't really get to go out. You know, okay, it is my problem. I like to hide. I really like to hide. So this part, the first segment of his body, it should be totally just inside the flower. Okay, so we're gonna paint it that way. So what I did is I just used some lamp black. Oh, I shouldn't do this. Okay, let me keep doing the black area. Okay, let's just keep doing the black area. I was gonna go and dip myself into the cadmium yellow medium pigment, and I just realized that, Kathy, you know, maybe because I just have lunch, so I'm not like, you know, I have food in me, and so I'm not thinking as sharp as I usually do, you know, because if you put, if I put the yellow just right next to the black, it will just pull the color out when it's wet, right? Now, I'm leaving a little room for the wings over here, okay, for the little piece of the wing, and we're gonna do our same technique as we did when we did the coneflower with the little dragonfly. We're gonna use the same technique. What it is we're gonna just make it looks like that it's translucent, that you can see through the wings. Okay, so we're gonna do that, and I realized that I might want to drop a little bit more of black over here, and then let the black and the water mix, and leaving that almost as a highlight because of the sun coming in, right? And if you do that, if you you know, always keep in mind that the area that's facing the sun, you always try to keep some highlight, then it makes it so that I'm gonna, you know, soften this area just a little bit. Okay, so it makes it so that you will be able to see forms better, meaning that this will be a curvy, like a curved tube, like what bee does, and instead of flat. Okay, so you'll be able to see the form of the shape better. I talk about that every single time I paint, right? Because it really is like just a big part of being an artist, you know, always remember the form of an object. And so I will do that, then I will mention it every time, so, you know, just like a reminder, you know, to you guys, right? I need to be reminded. You know, that's why I do my practice. When I practice, I remind myself of all the technique that I need to be careful with, okay? Now, the bee that I'm going to paint, the last segment of the bee is actually kind of white, so I'm just going to, you know, not this paintbrush now is just clean with no pigment. I'm just going to pull a little bit from the previous segment of the bee, okay? and then just leave it like that. So there is some color, and then when this water area is or wet area is clean, I might come in and put a little line over there. If I remember, I will try to remember. Okay, now let's ooh, I think she's a little wet, but we'll work on this area first, okay? Down here, and then we'll work up, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do strokes, right? But then all the way, remember the perspective of this flower, the way it's facing you. So my first layer of stroke can go all the way up to here, about this area. I actually have a line, and I'll put that line there, okay? And then I will build it on, and you see what I'm doing. I'm going to start now, okay? Now, this brush is my... the little, I talk about this on my crane painting, okay? It's the little HO0 brush from, it's an oriental brush, you know, it's just one of the more fine line. As I am going to do product I use very, very soon. Like I explained to you last time, it's not that I don't want to do those or anything, you know, every time, you know, it's just my... You know, I am quite industrious, I think, you know, and when I try to do things, I try to, you know, make sure whenever I try to do a painting for you, I want it so that it is something that is very productive and has a lot of content in it. So that's why you know, so what I'm doing is I'm doing the stroke. I'm following the thistle, right? The shape of the thistle, and just kind of doing it like this, okay? So now this, what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to use the form, the thistle, the pointy part actually, to make us see the form of the flower. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm being very, very careful. Just a minute over here. Okay. I'm over here looking at reference, and also you know, it's just photograph, and also my painting that I have done, so that I am more, you know, accurate with my strokes. I won't be making mistakes that are not correct, okay? Now, so this part over here is more of, what should I say, in the shadow, okay? So I'm going to go into the blue, purple, okay? And just be able to put the, while it's still wet, I'm going to drop some darker blue. I don't know if you can see that. Darker blue around, you know, towards the very, very bottom of this thistle, okay? And so, you know, when I do that, then the flower will kind of open up like kind of like that, and you'll be able to see this part that's not facing the sun. But you know, with my hand, since there's a light here very, very bright next to me on the left, you know, well, maybe I can use this cup for a demonstration, like kind of some area around here, right? That should be darker. And so that was what I was trying to do, okay? Now I'm going to let that alone, you know, though they're just narrow and short hairy stuff, not hairy, colory stuff, they are still kind of temperamental. If I'm not careful and I put this too close to there, they will just merge into one. And that, which is not the end of the world, okay? They can merge into one if they wanted to, but you know, if I can help it, I'm going to try to make it so that it is a little bit of so that you can see, you know, the thistle is going around. Okay. Now, and so I'm, you know, going to like try to, you know, go to the back. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull some of the color out and make that lighter. So to the eye, it's being pushed further back a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna, you know, I seldom do this technique, you know, where I use my paintbrush and go into this area and pick up some of the paint, so that I'm not, you know, using a lot of very, very intense paint over here, okay? I do things like that, but I don't think I have been doing that very much. Okay, and now I'm just dipping in my little bowl, okay? And so, you know, since the bee, you can see that the bee is like, you know, now, okay, before we talk more about the bee, now over on the side, you know, if you're actually looking at the flower, you will see some of the thistle part standing up here, right? And so we had to, you know, and it wouldn't be this angle, it would be that angle if that makes sense. And so we need to be a little bit more careful. Okay, and make that standing up a little bit straighter. Okay, so this side will be very much fan out, and this side will be straighter, just like the back area. Okay, and then we're gonna go around the bee, and then ever so slightly we're gonna put a few fits over here, and then if I do the background, I'm gonna have the background come in here, and so using the fine brush, because it has to come in between the fitzel, right? If there's green area at the back, and so I'm going to do that now. This is part of the wings, okay? And, you know, bees' wings usually really don't have much color, but, you know, but we're painting, you know. And so, in order to give you a little slight edge of the bee, I'm going to use a little bit of Payne's Gray, okay? So that you can see that's the edge of the wing. The wing is not spread apart. Why is that? Because he is, or she, this little bee over here is actually resting, right? Or resting, he's not really resting, he's actually working quite hard in trying to get some of the nectar. You know, the fitzel must have a lot of nectar. Okay, now so as we're coming in here, so we're gonna have a little slight layer of purple so that you can see that. You can almost like you can see through the wings, okay? And to the other side, almost the edge of the blossom over here, okay? And that's what I'm gonna do, okay? I'm just going to do this little area. It's like a continuation of that, of the flower, right? It doesn't have to be, you know, very precise, but, you know, you can see through the wings. And then if I'm going to do green on the back, at this little portion right here, and I will make that green. But since we're not doing that right now, I'm going to have to wait so that we won't make it inconsistent, okay? I just dropped a big drop of water here, so I better grab some paper towel and dab it dry. Okay, now so I hope that you can see that, because that will, you know, I'm going to move that a little bit closer so you can see that. Do you see that I have put a little bit of a color over that area, okay? I don't like to film it being so close because the sharpness of the painting is gone. And so I'll go back out, okay? Now, so we're going to put something else over there, and you will know in a second. You will know, okay? But let's work on the blossom more, okay? This perspective of the if that's the head of the blossom, you know, is turning towards us, okay? And you know, I know that last time when I was doing the crane, I told you that I'm thinking about. I really am seriously thinking about how to do the Asian watercolor, because I think it will be kind of fun and you guys might like to watch it. I don't know if you guys will actually paint along. If you do, then that will be very fun. But if not, I still wanted to do it. And, you know, because if we ever get around to painting chrysanthemum, it'll be what we're doing now, okay? Chrysanthemum is like really fun, but you have to paint the petal. You have to paint the petal, every little part of the petal, and it's actually quite fun. You know, after you become an artist for a little while, you really don't mind some of the detail. You know, and I don't know, I just like, you know, sometimes tell myself, you know, I really don't mind that, and I begin to enjoy it, if that makes sense. Now you can see that I'm working the fitzel, and it is quite kind of, you know, what do you call it? You might call it the labor intensive, because we are actually almost painting the fitzel, but you can see how fast we can do it, right? You know how I am. You know, really does not really like to, you know, a painting to be very, very busy. But I also have tried the other way, and I didn't like it. What do I mean by the other way? That means I mashed this all together, and decided to, you know, I have tried that, and I realized that I think this way is a little bit prettier, and it really doesn't take too much of our time. So I'm going to just go ahead and quickly, you know, but you can see right now, this is the bottom part of the bee, okay? And so, in order for you maybe to see it better, I'm going to go into black, wash my brush, and just put a little line over here, okay? kind of like a dotted line. Okay, so you can see that the bottom part of the bee is right there, and it's very pretty. Now, one of the reason, you know, I want to do a bee instead of butterfly, which, you know, I should think about some flowers that I can put the butterfly next to it, so we can do butterfly together. Butterfly is really fun. I actually have painting in my house, in one of my window. I actually have it on the paper because it was many years ago I did that in my house. Maybe I'll show you one day if I have time, you know, just to attach an image so you can see. So what I do is like I paint a few different butterfly, and it was two butterfly. It was quite fun and quite pretty. But now I'm telling my husband, hey, you know, let's cut me a piece of wood so I can use acrylic and paint some real stuff on it, so that you know, we can, because I had it actually paint on paper. I had this window that's very tall and bright, and okay, now I'm going into some blue purple, okay, and I'm going to go in here and darken this area a little bit, okay. You know, and for darkening it, I also try to separate, you know, it works as a separation of the thistle. Okay, so it is needed, you know, and but I don't want it like mash up. I kind of want it clean, and so I'm not going to put a lot of water, you know, and dilute that. I want it to be just like that, so you can kind of see that the thistles are kind of separating apart. You know, during my practice, I'll show you my practice, okay? Right here, I try to mash it together, and I didn't like that effect. Ooh, there's also something that I wanted to show you about the, you know, the whole green part and stuff like that, that what I have decided after my practice, so that you guys can, you know, have fun with me and see if you agree, disagree, you know, because with every single watercolor, you know, object, now I'm using some Payne's gray, okay, to further darken this area. I can also use, not Payne's gray, oh sorry, I'm using some sepia. I can also use Payne's gray, but I decided to use some sepia because that's what I did when I was practicing. Okay, so that make it look dark, okay? When this part is dark, as it open up, then it become more full, right, on the other side. Okay, I hope you guys like that. And so I'm gonna let this area dry, so I can't go into that for now, okay? Going back to my other brush. My other brush means the flow brush, okay? Don't worry about all these brushes, okay? And I'm going to do the bottom of this one and that one, okay? Now, going to the sap green, okay? I'm going to just lightly, and then I'll intensify that area, okay? Lightly go over here. It doesn't matter if you go into the purple, because I'm going to put something dark over there so that it will, you know, because the sun is coming here, right? And I'm taking care to remember that I should leave a highlight there, okay? And then I'm pulling this in. I can actually pull it all the way to the dark area, you know, put all the way there, and then put in the, you know, indigo on top, and it will still look good, okay? All I need is, like, you know, when I have it like that, then I need to put in more indigo, because I'm like letting the paper mix color, right? Color to mix right on the paper, okay? So the amount of pigment you should do is like, that is something that really you should try to play with it yourself, okay? Now I can, you know, be consistent and use some sepia over there, okay? And so I'm going to do that. Now I'm just going to drop that right in, right now, okay? When it's still a little bit wet. And why do I do that? Because I know that, because sepia is kind of like a really true brown. There's not a lot of red in it. And then when you let that mix with the indigo color, you just let it mix with the green, part of it will actually turn black, which is what we wanted, right? We wanted something to this area, make it very dark, you know, it can be black. And so this is what I'm going to do, like with that two area. It's the same as this, you know, it's just the base of the thistle. Hope you guys are having fun, but like oh yes, I was talking, you know, to you guys about in part of the United States or area of the world, they could actually be going to spring or summer, or actually into the fall, Okay, we're going into the fall, but we have a heat wave here in Utah, and so we're kind of hot. And 90-some degree in the daytime. You feel bad for us. I kind of feel bad a little bit, you know, like, you know, we are like that human being, like, you know, all the time, right? Now, I put some Payne's gray and I soften the area between the purple and the green, okay? Because I don't want it to mix together in really intense color. I kind of wanted it to have a little bit of a light color area over there. You know, when we are in the middle of winter, we dream about spring and summer so we can go on vacation. I don't know, you know, something like that. But then, you know, when now we have enough summer, and then we think about fall, and then, you know, I'm sure that I am a fall person, and that's probably very, very normal. Okay, so I put this, you know, it's just like a oval, right, or a ball. You know, you're trying to put the darker color over here and then lighter, so it look like a ball shape. Okay, with the top of the thistle part. Okay, so let's work in this area. It's the same way. Okay, and so I guess I am dreaming about, you know, now because this area, the blossom area is covering this, so we don't have as much as of a highlight, you know, of a white area, but still we don't, you know, we want this area to be lighter green, you know. Because why do I still wanted that? Because now there might be some light coming over in this side too, okay? So we take care, because we wanted it also to not look like a circle but a ball. There's a difference, right? A circle is just 2-dimensional, a ball is 3-dimensional. So that's what we're trying, okay? So I'm going to focus the darker area in the bottom and dropping in the gold here. And let it go up, but then make sure to leave this have a little bit light and have a little bit light coming in that area too, okay? Sometimes I soften the area and sometimes I don't, okay? You can soften this, but, you know, and if you wanted me to soften it, I probably, I don't want to, because I haven't softened those, okay? Now we're going to put thistle on there, and so, I mean, pointy thing, so don't worry about it. This is kind of fine with us, okay? Now, let me see. Okay, let's finish the bee up, okay? Because we have a lot of color over here, and so what I'm going to do, like we have intense blue, purple and green, and so what I'm going to want to do is, oh, before I do that, let's not forget, let me not forget and drop magenta in here, okay? Now the reason why is because when I was practicing, after I finished, I was just looking at it and I feel like that the purple were too intense, okay? So I say, let's try some magenta, and I did that, and it totally not straightened it. Suddenly it brightened the painting up. Not a lot, just a little bit. It's almost like you didn't know, if you don't, like if you're not an artist, you don't really know that I have put magenta in that. You will just think that I put purple, but actually I have magenta, as I did that right in front of you, right? Okay, now let's do the, now I'm going to the quinacridone yellow medium and loaded up my brush, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this part, the second segment of his wings. Still trying to leave some highlight over there, okay? So what I did is I left the white over there, and I come over here with a clean brush and soften that out. And so I was, you know, the same thing I'm going to do over here. But what I'm going to do right here that's a little bit different is I'm going to go into here with a light wash, okay? Now, before I do that, I want this area to be more intense, so I'm going to go into the sepia. I realized that you can use sepia to for a darker value of yellow. A little bit of sepia, you can actually do that, okay? So I make this part a little bit darker. Right here, okay? Now don't forget that, okay? Now I'm gonna pull that in a little bit so you can see, okay? So do you see that I dropped some sepia over there? Now if I think, oh, it's just too dark, and then maybe I will put some yellow ochre, just put it on top of that, you know, okay? So you see that this is kind of like a darker area of the yellow, okay? And I told you earlier that I just pull the color out, okay? Now while I'm here, I'm going to use the yellow ochre because it's a little bit dull. It has some black in it. I'm going to go into the wings part, okay, of the little bee. Just this part over here, okay? And I know that it will go all the way over here, okay? And then why am I doing that? Because you are looking through the wings, right? Or glasses. You're almost looking through glasses, okay? So you can see that, but you know, so it's not like, you don't want to paint this area very vibrant, okay? You want it a little bit muted so that it stays true to the characteristic of a wing, okay? Now, when I'm looking at the screen, okay, it looks kind of intense, so I don't know if it is intense until I turn off all the light, you know, but if it is to me right now, I'm going to, you know, just soften it a little bit, okay? And I will intensify the wings a little bit more so that you will be able to see that, okay? Now, I'm going to have to leave this area to dry right now, okay? And so we're going to leave that alone for a minute and back out again. Okay, now, then we are really into drawing the thistle part or the pointy part on the green area, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do. Now, this, as an artist, this is what I've decided to do, you know, because I've tried many different ways, and I don't want to do every single point what I'm doing here as I practice, okay? Because I think that will become a little busy and it takes away from the pretty thistle. And so what I'm going to do is you go back to my HO0 brush, okay? And then I'm going to dip it in the green mixture, okay? So now I'm going to do some indigo. I have loaded some indigo, but I can see that the brush is very, very wet. So I'm going to dry it a little bit and try it again, okay? I don't want a little so wet, okay? So I'm going to leave that one alone until it had a better chance to dry, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slightly, you know, allow you to see some pointy part, but I am not going to, some pokey part, you know, but I'm not going to line the whole thing, okay? So what I'm going to do is you're going to see it and then you don't, you know, so that it won't be too busy, okay? So I just don't want this part to be too busy, if that makes sense, okay? So I'm going to do some, and then with that suggestion, you know, right, as a viewer. And now I'm going to go in with a little bit of lighter yellow. This is indigo, right? And I'm going to do some over here, okay? And that's, you know, my artist's decision, because I just really don't like it to be too busy, okay? Too busy of a thistle bottom, okay? So I'm gonna just do this, okay? And then I'm going to, so to your mind, you already know, you know, my interpretation. To your mind, I think you already know that there are pokies on this, right? But if I line all of it, then it will be, you know, to me, it will be quite busy. Now, my brush is going to be going back to the indigo color. Indigo is the darkest. It's kind of bluish green, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing for over here, too, okay? So what I am, you know, suggesting to you is, you know, if you want to follow this way, then you know what I'm doing. Not that I don't know how a thistle really look like, but what I'm doing is I'm going to just try not to make it too busy, okay? And they are actually very, very sharp. Do you know that when we first moved into our house, we actually had 2 big thistle growing, okay, in our yard, and I was not very happy with that. Okay, now I'm going to go into the dark purple, okay? Dioxazine purple, okay? And then I'm going to do a little bit here. Now this is more like a dot, you know, because it's this part, right? It's building up and it's gonna come out soon, okay? So I'm just going to do that, okay, as a suggestion. And I told you that I might just drop a little bit of oh, I want the quinacridone violet over there instead of the dark purple. So I'm gonna do that, okay? I'm just gonna line this area with a little bit of purple, okay? Just make it look a little bit festive, more festive and prettier, okay? Yeah, so we have a 2 big thistle, right? And that was, we were in New Jersey, and trying to, and this is not going to be as busy as that either, okay? We're in New Jersey and trying to move back to Utah, so I wasn't like quite used to the, what do you call that? The vegetation, okay? The weeds and what is a good plant and what is a bad plant. And, you know, actually, I think one of my neighbor, her name is Lucretia, she actually came in and said, hey, Kathy, do you want me to tell you, you know, to come identify the weeds on your garden with you? And I say, oh, okay, but we never get together, I don't think so. But I thought this plant was so beautiful. Now that's all I'm gonna do. Isn't that pretty? You know, and I might drop a couple of blue purple in here just to make the area darker, and that's it. And I think that is very nice and pleasant, okay? And so we never really get together, and so but I knew that they were so beautiful, and I saw the bees and the butterflies, just absolutely love them, but especially the bees. So not only is it very, very pokey, right? And I say, you know, I told my husband, I say, I've never seen this, but I don't think that it is a good thing. And so he say, okay, you know, we had to dig them out, and we did. We did dig them out. And so I think I had a feeling, or I had a hunch, what little weeds that will eventually grow into a thistles. But since I keep my garden, you know, seriously, I'm not well, I used to be like a farmer. I used to grow vegetables and stuff, but now I paint, right? And so I don't go out as much, and so I you know, I'm not as good as I once was. Do you know why? One of the big reason is I'm going to soften this area, soften this thistle over here a little bit, okay? Because it's pushing back. As it's pushing back, I just don't want the pointy things to be too, you know, in your face, right? And so I soften it a little bit, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing with over there. These are sharper. This one might be a little sharp, but then I wanted it to, you know, kind of soften as it go back a little bit, okay? And so we took them out, you know, and then one of my, so I start making friends in the neighborhood because we go to church together, you know, so quickly, we very quickly become friends, and they come and they say, oh, Kathy, are you having problem with your yard, you know, when we first moved in? And I say, yes, of course we're having problem, you know, there's so many weeds, and, you know, I had to, you know, I felt like it was really a big headache to me, and, okay, so what I'm doing is I'm also softening the thistles so they're not too sharp looking, but you can see that they're there, okay? And so she said that, oh, Kathy, she's a farmer from Brigham City, and she said, oh, I'm still her good friend. I just talked to her yesterday. I just love my friends and my neighbors. And she say, do you know that she grew up with a horse? She told me at that time. Okay, so she say, okay, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna just go in with you know, with the sharp point of this beautiful pink brush that I have learned to love very much. Okay, and she said that her horse, her daddy, they are not rich in any, you know, any imagination, but she said that her dad actually give her a horse that she can ride. Okay, now you can see I'm softening it. Okay, there's no pigment on this brush. Okay, I'm softening the thistle, so it's not, you can see it there, but no, you know, so ever so slightly. Okay, and so her dad gave her a horse that she can ride around the mountain, you know, that the farm was, you know, and she said that, you know, I always, like, you know, I don't think we had a lot of money, not that I remember, you know, being a dairy farmer, but every Christmas when my father need money, like family presents and such, he would go around the farm area and cut down Christmas tree and then go sell them in a parking lot and such. Okay, look, I'm softening it, and it's like all gone. Okay, but then it's still there, really, it's not all gone. You know, so that's the way I decided the green part should be, okay? And so she told me, her name is Carol, actually, but I don't think she watched my stuff. I don't even know if she know I have a channel. Maybe I should tell her. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing, okay? You can see that I follow, you know, quite try to be correct at the placement of the thistle, okay? Of the prickly part of the thistle. Because this whole plant is called thistle, so... But she said that she can, her father gave her a horse so she can ride around the area. I think it's just, I'm not sure if she has a sister. I think just her and her brother, you know, growing up. And she said that, you know, her horse just loves seeing thistles, you know. So she never pull them. They never pull them because it's food for the horse, right? And so the horsey like to... now you can see that that's very, very kind of harsh, okay? So I go in, dip it in water, dab it kind of dryish, okay? And I'm going to come in and kind of soften it, okay? And I'm going to, as I soften, I'm going to judge, okay? I don't want to soften it away too much. I want it to still be there. But I don't want it to be just glaring in the eye or poking us in the eye. Like how's that sound? You know. And so she say that she just don't they just don't pull the wheat, the thistle wheat out. They save it for the horses. And she say, Kathy, and my horse, her horse, she love her horse, of course. Everyone love their horse if they have horse. Her horse used to just wrap her tongue around the top part, like this part right here. And just and eat that. So I think this must be medicinally, you know, well, the animal knows things better than we do. You know, medicinally, this must be really, really good for us. Okay, I'm coming in and soften it again. Okay, see that? Now so that's why you can see the thistle is there. I've painted it, but it's not poking us in the eye. You know, you know, that is one of the things that I kind of, you know, just want to mention to you as just a side thing just to talk about, okay? You know, Chinese people believe in feng shui, right? Feng shui, I guess that's how they say it, whatever. You know, because in Cantonese we call it feng shui. And in feng shui, they say that if you wanted to grow a poke plant inside the house, okay, they totally advise against, you know, the planting of poke plants, like plants that are very prickly, okay. Like what I could think of in mind is some of the cactus, okay. But nowadays cactus are everywhere, right? And people, now I'm going to soften this area and I'm going to come back in and see if it needs after I do the flower in the background, okay. So one of the things that people say is do not plant cactus inside the house because that promote fighting in the family and among between the spouse and among the children too, okay. It promote fighting in the family, you know. And so the Chinese feng shui really strongly suggests don't just don't do that, okay. Now so I'm going to come in here with some indigo and make that area even push back a little bit, okay. Push back even further, almost as good as that part, okay, because I really want it to be dark where it should be dark, okay. And that's the value we're talking about, right? We have because the more dark this area is, the better it bring out the brightness of the flower. And so I began to think about that, and my daughter liked to have cactus, but they, you know, they had the little one, and one time her sister brought her a big one because she went to Arizona. And I think the whole thing, the reason why they have the feng shui have kind of rules like that, if I may say so, I think it's because that of the presence of if there's a presence of a lot of very pokey things in the house, especially if you put it like, okay, one of the things that they say is also like if you don't want to have a lot of fighting, then what you need to do is put it in area where away from people's path, okay. So now I'm going to go back to the flow brush. What am I going to do? I'm going to put in the green, okay, right now, and I'm going to give that a little time. Oh no, let's finish our little bee first, okay. Now so over here I also want the black color to be pulled out, you know, to be pulled out from this color over here, okay. So it will be just ever so slightly, okay. And that's the wing of the bee. And before, you know, because it kind of disappear and become kind of a little mess, okay? So I'm going to go in to the Payne's gray area again, okay? And then kind of outline this just ever so slightly, okay? So the viewer can see, you can see where the wing is. And because there is color in the wing and is placed in the correct point, then you will know that there is the color from the underneath the wing is coming through, okay? And that's always like kind of fun. I'm going to put some green over here, but very, very diluted, so that that is the background, okay? The color of the background reflected or coming through the wings, okay? And so I will have to remember I need to come back here and do some background, right? If there's no background over here, then it will become a little bit ambiguous, okay? And then I will use a little black and just round up the body, okay? So you can see, it's almost like you're seeing through the wings, right? Into the bottom, like underneath the wings, okay? And so now I can at this point actually finish up his legs, you know, so it's not a big deal, and we're gonna just still using the zero really pointed paint, and just a little bit here and there, okay? And don't make it too obvious, because it should be buried under the, you know, under the purple, right? Because he's like, this bee, he's like almost totally buried. Almost totally buried, okay? So there he is on top and working very, very hard, okay? We have bees around here a lot because we have neighbors that likes to have bees. I like it. I like my neighbors, and so if they wanted to do that, and so sometime when I like chrysanthemum, my chrysanthemum is coming out. Okay, just a second, let me stop this and come back. My chrysanthemum is coming out now, and so I will see the bees visiting me a lot, which I don't mind, okay? So now I'm just going to do the back of the leaf of the thistle, okay? And that's very nice because, you know, they actually have pointies, okay? So I'm going to hold two brushes, you know, and just kind of make it pointy, you know, put a little bit of point in here, okay? So that to suggest to your eyes that those are very, very pointy and prickly, okay? And then I'm going to drop a little bit of indigo around here to separate the leaf from this plant over here, okay? I'll just do that, okay? And I'm going to work around here, and then I will show you a few, you know, these leaves, the leaves of the, you know, you can get images, but you can just also follow my drawing, okay? They are all over, and you can see that they are not like the dandelion because they're more prickly. And so this plant is actually kind of hard on our yard, right? If you have them in your yard, then you will get prickly. Oh yes, I was talking to you about feng shui, and you know, because the people believe that, and you know, so I kind of, you know, I don't, you know, really believe in silly feng shui, but I think I really do understand, though, is that when you have something that prickly in your house, you know, like the cactus, you know, and if you put it around people where people walk around, then nobody like to be pricked, right? When I was out there pulling these thistle out, it was so hard. Sometimes you can cut yourself. You really can cut yourself. And so I don't like doing that, but I knew I had to, because if I don't do it, you know, well, of course my husband always will help me, but you have to be very, very careful. And when your body is constantly, if you have a plant like that, your body is constantly on guard, okay, in your house. And so when that happened, now what I did is I just put some dark indigo color, and and then now I'm dropping in the sap green, okay? Just let that color, let them mixed, okay? Because as much as I knew that, well, I actually think that the leaves are very, very pretty, you know. You know, but I know that this is our center of our painting, okay? So you don't need to be very, very aggressively uptight about this area, okay? You can do that, and you know, so just kind of, you know, relax and let your brush do the work, okay? And don't worry about just letting the color mix on there, okay? And so, and if, you know, I was talking about feng shui, and if you put like prickly stuff around your family, then everyone is on guard, right? And I think American will call that, they have a term for it in the medical department, they call it sympathetic mode, okay? So you're always very, very nervous. And when a person is very, very nervous all the time, because you have a plant in your house, you know, and sometime when a problem happens, then you will snap at each other. You know, now that's my take on it. And of course, I am no philosopher, but I really would think that that is the problem, okay? But if you are, you know, so that's why they say don't put these kind of thing on very, very pointed, you know, things that can prick you very badly in the path of where people walk in the house, okay? Because so your mind will always look at that and try to avoid that, okay? So you're always on guard. It's always like a knife is being stick out at you at random position in your house. Nobody want that either, okay? And so maybe we should listen, and that really is not a good thing to do, right? And so try not to do that, and just leave things that are prickly outdoor. And I know that they're pretty too, you know, but I do love cactus though, I really do. Now, if in Utah you leave the cactus outdoor, then they're done. They will never survive, you know, because, you know, even though we kind of like a desert, but, you know, if when we have rain, and cactus doesn't like rain, and so they will die. And so I have never been really successfully grow cactus, you know, around here. Okay, so this leaf is coming this way, right? And so now we are actually, it's almost done. We're actually putting the leaves on, and I'm going to throw a wash in the back, and then we're done. Isn't that fun? And I think it's very, very pretty. Now, the reason why I was in the middle of course, I'm always in the middle of telling you something. And because I went up to the canyon. We have a canyon up there, and I saw these during the weekend, and it was so beautiful. And so, you know, I'm just mesmerized, right? And mesmerized by the way the bee just, you know, I don't know. I've never seen, we have a lot of deers around here, because they always say, oh, well, we chase the deers, you know. Now, because this is dark and this is darker green, so if I put a lighter green, like the sap green, over on this leaf, you will be able to tell that this is the leaf, won't you? Okay? Because I'm going to follow through and carry it down here, right? And so you will see that I meant to, that's to be their leaf over there. Isn't that fun? I hope you guys are having fun with me. And I hope you guys, you know, really enjoy the rest of your summer. I know the kids are back to school, and that's kind of nice in a way. I always like my kids, though. I like to have them around and do things with them. But I always like tease them when they were going, you know, there's a commercial on TV that called the most wonderful time of the year, right? It's so funny. I think it's like an office supply company, and I always tease my children that, yoo-hoo, you're going back to school. When they were around, you know, you're going back to school, the most wonderful time of the year for me. You know, heck, I don't really feel that way at all in any way. You know, I just really, really like them. I like being around them. But I do like to tease them, you know. So when my kids were growing up, you know, they can tell you it's the truth. You know, we hardly go on vacation without them. We always take them because it's just really fun. Now, it's just my husband and I, and we do have fun, you know, going places. But I miss my kids. I miss them when they were little too, you know. I miss my kids when they were young. I wish you can keep them that way, but you can't, you know. Actually, you know, me and my oldest daughter sometimes don't see eye to eye, you know. I had a stronger of a temper then, and don't see eye to eye, but I still love her very, very much, and it was very fun to have them with us, you know, because they are creative kids and they make things just so much more fun. Okay, so I'm going to put a leaf here, and I'm going to do some stems, and I'm going to do it with you because we we do have a little bit of time. Okay, and I'm gonna, so because these leaves that are coming out, the prickly, is so much fun. It needs to be narrow, right? Not like the dandelion. Dandelion is not actually not prickly, good thing, but you know, once in a while, if you go out in your yard barefoot, and if you hit it just right, you will hurt yourself, right? And that is the truth. But I think dandelion is also very medicinal. I think Martha Stewart actually said something about it's good for hot flash. I'm not sure. It was many, many years ago that I watched one of, say I'm using toothbrush, I watched one of her show and she said something like that. I've never go to my, you know, because one time I discussed with my husband, I said, hey James, you know, do you want to just not spray the dandelions so I can use that for medicinal purpose? And he said no, because there will be just too many of them. And the only time we actually did not spray our, I just flick a big drop of water on there, that we did not spray the dandelion is when our little duck, was here, because oh, he loves to eat dandelion. But we don't have thistles anymore, so we didn't get to try it on him, on her. Her name is Momo, and because I bet she will love the thistle too. Okay, yeah. So let's do the no. I'm gonna do the stems for you, so you can see the, you know, the stems. You know how we're gonna do it, just like the, you know, we can do the light part first, or we can do the dark parts first. Okay, but since we've been doing the dark, I'm going to do that, okay, over here. And then I'll go in with some light sap green color. That's usually how I do my green plants and leaves and stems. You know, I like to just give the paper the freedom. Okay, now this might receive some light over here, okay? So I'm going to just pull this out to nothing. Now when I do the product introduction with you, okay, I'll talk about this brush. You know, I really just started using this after I start, you know, painting with you guys. And so if I like it so much, I think maybe it is like, you know, worth it for you guys to just go and, yeah, maybe explore it and see if you like it too. I don't know, that will be something I would do, you know. And then I'm going to pull some prickly out here, okay, just pull a little bit there and here. Okay, and so it will look pretty. Let's do the stems, and then I will finish the, you know, what I'm going to do with my background is I'm just gonna slap some lighter green over here and there, and then I'm gonna splash it, okay, and that's all I'm gonna do. So I may not show you guys and the whole thing, and so make this a little bit of a shorter painting. All of my painting is so long. Okay, I'm just pulling a little bit of prickly out here and there. Okay, and just kind of follow through the stems and put it down here. But I think that I don't want that, you know, to be going somewhere. So I'm going to introduce a leaf again over here. Okay, just introduce a leaf. I just put that on in front of you. Okay, my, you know, okay, and make it prickly. Okay. Okay, isn't that pretty? Okay, so we're gonna, isn't that coming in front of your eyes? You know how I, you know, put this painting together. It's been very fun. I really have a lot of more intention to tell you guys more stories about families and you know, China and all kinds of things. So, as I was saying, instead of just babbling about nothing, as I'm doing the background here, I decided to just voice over, and you know, because I didn't really talk about much, and as you can tell, I'm continuing doing some of the leaves, but mainly it's going to work on the background. Just remember, use some pointy pink brush and try to make the pokey part of the you know, if you see pictures or see in person, the pokey part of the thistles, okay? And so A while ago, I told you guys that I was going to finish talking about my second uncle and his heartbroken adventure. Not that he wanted that kind of adventure of fleeing from China to Hong Kong. And so I decided to just take the time and just kind of tell a story here. And some of you who had been with my painting and watched some of the early video, I talk a lot about my family. And so I will just pick up a point where when my grandfather was executed, my grandma went up to the gravesite and with her youngest daughter and have a house there, and told my father, who is the oldest son, to run away and run to Hong Kong, because at that point Hong Kong was under the a colony of the British, right? And that's what he did. I don't know the period of time, but he successfully did that, and I actually have a little story. So if you wanted to know about him and how he get to Hong Kong, you need to go back and watch some of my older video, because I really don't remember which one I talk about it. I probably should write it all down. Anyway, and so he managed to go to Hong Kong. He managed to go to Hong Kong and was not very successful. But at that time, because of the communism and so many people has been killed, murdered, families, I mean extended family, do help each other. My father had run into some stumbling block, but part of it was his fault. But eventually he was able to use some of the money that people raised for him to open a factory. And so my second brother, my second uncle was the second one, which is the one that is immediately younger than my father. Okay, so my third uncle decided to swim through by the South China Sea as close as he can. I'm sure that they have studied and know which is the best path to take, and he went that way to Hong Kong. However, my second uncle was the second one actually that came after my father. My father came first. My second uncle decided to walk the forest. And so I think that I might have mentioned this a little bit in the beginning. And so one of the biggest thing that he had told us when we were little children, see, my dad was very close-mouthed about it, because it was so painful for him to witness the execution of his father. He really does not like to talk much, tell us kids much about what happened. Maybe he just doesn't like to talk about. But my second uncle really, and the third one, my third uncle too, they really like to babble away if you ask them the question. But mostly my second uncle, the one who went through the forest, the wilderness area. Okay, I will promise you that I will go and calculate the distance between Chiu and the border city, who is called Shenzhen, of Hong Kong, and be able to tell you the distance. Now, I don't know if he take a bus, take a truck or van, or have a hitchhike, okay? I have no idea. But he finally arrived in the wilderness area, which, China is so big, right? And the border is so huge. It's just this long, you can see just this long piece of land. And so there are ways that you can go around where the border's patrols are. And so that was his, my second uncle's, probably with some elders in the village, in my father's village, their plan was. So he went through and walked, and he said that one of the saddest thing that he saw, all great mind think alike, right? It wasn't his idea to walk that forest. Some people already know and how to do that, and so somehow I guess he must be somehow encouraged and was given probably a map or something. Now all these I don't know. I'm just speculating. But what he did tell us, because when you were young, okay, I think the last time that I have ever talked to him was when I was about 16, 17 years old. And so you're not like that bright, and you don't know history so much or think so much. I just let him talk. I don't usually interrupt him and say, so how did you, I wish I had, because now he's gone, with my father, or pass on to the other side. And so I'm happy for them. because at the end of his life, he actually was so stricken with diabetes that he has to amputate his leg, and so that was very, very sad. But anyway, so that was his youth, and whatever the youth was, I would say about 19 years old. It wouldn't be, I think my father was a little bit younger, and so his age was about 19 years old. Anyway, so he walked through the forest, and he said that the saddest thing is you can't bring, even if you have the money, you might be able to bring a couple of meals, and they don't have granola bar. They might have fruit. I don't even know if they dry their fruit. I know that my mom used to dry vegetable, so you weren't able to bring a lot of food with you. And he said that the most saddest part that he saw in the very beginning was that people were dying from eating berries in the mountain because of their hunger, and they decided they saw some berries or whatever, they just pick it up and they eat it, and they just die by food poisoning, I guess, or poison berries sometimes are poison. I always, when I go hiking, I tell my husband, if we look at these berries and the birds are not over here, because there are plenty of birds and moose and animal, if they're not eating it, they probably are not good. Not that, because, we're first world country, we have tons of granola bar, we don't need to eat the berries. And so he said that it was quite hard for him. He had to restrain himself. He knew he wasn't supposed to eat the berries. And no matter how hungry or thirsty he was, he would just have to do what he has to do. And I remember seeing, even nowadays, I saw pictures of him when he was really, really young. And so he walked by, he walked, and and I also have not have the tenacity to ask him just how many days were you in the wilderness. But another thing that he did was also he told my sister, actually my sister verified, because I was just chatting with her the other day, and she said that he said that another one thing that was really scary was the Bengal tiger. We don't have that kind. We don't have tiger in our wilderness here in America. At least I've never seen one. I guess our biggest enemies here when we go hiking is the bear. But he actually ran into tiger. He was afraid that he would run into tiger. And so that was probably some of the thing that elders told him, the elders from his village, that when you go, you need to be careful with running into, animals, probably bear. But I think the bears in Asia are not as huge as those one, not like the grizzly, maybe a little smaller than black bear. I know in Malaysia they have the sun bear, which is also smaller. And so he every night, instead of sleeping by a rock or find a hole, you don't find holes because you might be, finding a refuge of an animal. So you try not to do that. He would climb big, huge trees and sleep on trees. Now, at this point, I'm trying to do the background. And so what I'm doing over here is just loosely do the shape of the bottom. And then I'm going to put some, the bottom of the thistle. And then I'm going to use quinacridone violet to put on the thistle flower part, right? And as you can see, that by looking at it, that there's a thistle there in the distance. So I'm going to do another one in a second over here. But anyway, so that was his strategy, and it did him well. But we also know that, I don't know if you guys have ever read Jungle Book or even watched the Disney movie. On the trees they have snakes, but from what I understand, those snakes, when I was in Malaysia, they say snakes like to go on bamboos because they're so smooth. They don't have all the, nut guts, on the lack of a good descriptive words. So they don't go on these regular, maybe maple tree or whatever tree, but, so that between Hong Kong and China, those are tropical area. So my uncle will climb on trees to avoid the biggest enemies in the jungle, which is the Bengal tiger. And so lucky for him, he was never caught. And so by a tiger. And of course, he was never caught by the guard because, the guards are not going to station themselves in the jungle. And so He never was eaten by snake. Not that he had told us, but you know what he told us. The saddest thing or the ugliest thing is, you know, dead human in the forest, right? That have eaten bad food or maybe being bitten by a snake. I don't know. You know, you usually shouldn't do that, and they are very, very fit. Well, at least my uncle and my father and his brothers, because they spent all their whole life when they were growing up swimming in the creek in that little village that they have in China, and they used the creek for everything. It used to be very deep until the now recently the communist, recently I mean at least 20 years ago or maybe 40, they had diverted the water, and so the creek become very, very small, but they still, you know, use that water. And so my uncle has successfully arrived in China, in Hong Kong. Now, I was so young, I did not really know. I knew the time period about when he come, but really, really young, didn't understand a lot. And so, of course, my father came to Hong Kong, and then it took him a little while, and he met my mom, and so they got married. They have two of my brothers first, and so I think it's within this period of time that my second uncle actually escaped the communism, and he ran around and get to Hong Kong. Anyway, I will see you in the next painting. Thank you so much, and have a good day.